Kansas City, Missouri, and I went to school thinking I was going to be an artist. My degree is in fine arts, painting and metal sculpture and graphic design. And I worked in that field for a little while, and still love art, but don't get to practice it too much. But I met a girl that was a makeup artist when I was working as a graphic designer, and it just seemed like her job was so much fun, and she got to travel and do great things, and it was really interesting to me. And I kind of lucked out in that she decided to move to LA and sort of handed over some of her photographers that she worked for and with to me. And so I got to work for them while still bartending and doing art and graphic design and painting and all of that. And I really just fell in love with doing makeup, so I decided to move out to LA and go to school at the Los Angeles School of Makeup, or the Makeup Designery. And always, I stayed out in LA for a while so I could go to school, get some experience, but I was always wanting to come back to Texas. Austin, I love Austin. And so I stayed out there a little bit, came back, and continued to work as a freelance makeup artist, freelance bartender, freelance graphic designer, freelance artist, until I could really get the makeup business of being a makeup artist off the ground. And it took a while, but finally the makeup took over, and I was able to do that as a full-time career as a freelancer, and then later moved into doing cosmetics. I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I don't really think I realized it, but I was always doing something. I was always sewing, making clothes for my friends, or sewing costumes for performances, or painting and selling and designing cards for people, even as a younger person. I've never had what you call a real job, I guess, because even my real jobs were in a restaurant, and those were sort of like bartender and waitress. Since you are an entrepreneur, you make your own money, you get out of it what you put into it. And so I sort of feel like I've always been that. Back in Texas, it was so hot that so many people were saying, oh, I just don't wear makeup in the summertime. It's like, oh, we need to get those people wearing makeup in the summertime, because I want to wear makeup in the summertime. I don't look good without makeup, so I wanted to stay on when I sweat. And I felt like there was a need for a makeup line that would do that. There wasn't a huge pivotal moment that made me say, oh, I'm going to do it, because it was so scary to do. It was like little steps, like, oh, well, if I did that, maybe I could do this. So it was always in my mind, but then sort of figuring out how to do it was the hard part. One piece of advice that I would give is take advice. Listen to what other people have to tell you. They've all been there before you. People who are in the same field, or even in a different field, that are entrepreneurs and starting a business, listen to what they have to say. They have made those mistakes, and hopefully you can listen to theirs and not make them yourself. But listen, take advice, find somebody to give you advice. And then on the other side of that, know what you're getting yourself into a little bit. Be very prepared. I think that it was really hard for me in the beginning, because I didn't have a lot of money, and I tried to do it without knowing how much money it would really take. I tried to do it in little small steps, which made it so much more expensive for me, because in the makeup business, if you had to do really small batches, it's very expensive. So I was spending so much more money than I really could have if I would have known to raise more money than I did. And so, just little things. If I would have asked more financial advice, I think I could have done better in the beginning. But yeah, my best advice is take advice. I think I'm scared every day. We just moved into a new studio, and everything's bigger and better, and everything's, everyone says it's going to be so much better, but it's so scary, because everything's more expensive, everything's different. And so everything that's different is scary. And you just sort of have to weigh your options and know and believe in yourself and believe in what people have told you to get through it. And I don't think that anybody's ever not fully not scared of something. I think if you weren't scared, you'd probably be stupid. I mean, everybody should be a little bit scared, because it makes you study a little bit more, learn a little bit more, be cautious, whatever you need to do, whether you want to call it scared or cautious or whatever you want to call it. I don't think anyone ever totally gets over being scared. I enjoy what I do. So at those events and promoting Rae Cosmetics, that's probably when I am the most comfortable, because I enjoy it, and I wouldn't be in this business if I didn't. So the most stressed out is probably when I'm behind the scenes doing all the financial stuff and all the office stuff that I really, wasn't what I got into this business for. I love the pretty side of it. I like making people pretty. I like the parties. I like all that. I like promoting the line. So that's not stressful for me at all. It's all the other stuff. I feel like I can do everything a man can do, and I don't want anyone to tell me I can't. But a lot of times you see more of a nurturing sense with the women. You know, they're more willing to help and give advice, and maybe that's why, because of the business I am, and it is mainly women in the business, that's why I've done so well, because they are nurturing, and no one wanted me to fail. They gave me advice. They're like, oh my gosh, I did this. It was a horrible mistake. Don't make that same mistake. Where I think sometimes maybe the other ones are like, wait, I worked through it. You worked through it, you know? And we want to see people be successful and not have to go through all the trouble that maybe we did to get to that same place.